The Earley Show is brought to you by our friends at Answering Legal. For more than a decade, attorneys have trusted Answering Legal's 24/7 virtual receptionist service to keep their phones covered and their clients cared for. Now, they're raising the bar with an AI-powered intake chatbot, live translation services in over 180 languages, and 76 seamless tech integrations. Answering Legal's goal? Make running a law practice simpler while helping you capture every new client opportunity. And don't worry, the receptionist team is still the best in the business at turning first-time callers into loyal clients. Find out what's possible by visiting answeringlegal.com. You'll find a link to the site in the description of this episode. Now, let's get to the show. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Earley Show, sponsored by our friends over at Answering Legal. I'm your host, Chris Earley. And as you know, on this show, The Earley Show, we always bring you the best and brightest in the legal industry. Today is no exception. We have a very colorful, fun, forward-thinking guy. We have Paul Faust on The Earley Show, a good soul, a good person, a very selfless guy who seeks to always give value to others, which I like. That's why I wanted him to come on. Paul, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you today?
Thank you. And I appreciate the show. It's not recorded early. I don't do early. And honored to be here. You know, you told me you had some names like Mr. John Morgan, Mr. Mike Morse, Mr. John Hazel. To be able to be on a show that had those industry greats and yourself, it's truly an honor. I hope I can provide some value to your listeners.
We don't mess around. That's why you're on the show. You know, you're a good dude and you get it. So that's why I wanted to have you on. So fun fact, I grew up in Pearl River, New York. Didn't you grow up around Rockland County or
yeah.
No?
New city till four. Well, I haven't grown up yet. I've gotten older. So I got older until fourth grade in New City and then moved to Westchester County because there was no train to the city and my dad was losing it commuting to New York City via car. So then Westchester County and then on from there.
So you're in Florida now. Is that where you reside?
Yes, I am in Boca Raton, Florida.
I'm going to be going to Jay Berkowitz's conference in March. I want to say you going there?
I am an ambassador for that conference. I am the director of fun for that event. I will be some events. They call me the dope, the director of positive energy. Yes, I'm an ambassador for the conference and I will 100% be there.
I love it. Can't wait to see you. I'm an ambassador too. I've never been an ambassador, so I'm hoping I have imposter syndrome here.
Yeah, I've always wanted an ambassadorship, and this was the best I got. I wanted somewhere in the Caribbean, but they gave me the TGR Live, so I'll take it.
Take what we can get. Could you just kind of, I want to get into today, but before we go there, I always like to start from the start. Parents raising you, what do they do for work? Brothers and sisters. Just talk to us about sort of influences coming up and how that shaped who you are today.
Yeah, family's still very much close. It's interesting. My mother, father, brother, and sister are all lawyers. None in the personal injury mass tort space, but they're all lawyers. So I decided that I had all the free law I need. Why waste time in law school? And somebody needs to be a client. So, grew up, my dad, actually, great story, went to a Brooklyn college because it was free. They didn't have any money. His parents came here fleeing the Holocaust. But the Brooklyn college was free. And then after Brooklyn College, went to Harvard Law. And then like every person who comes out of Harvard Law, joined the Air Force because he thought it was his obligation to give back to the country that took his family. And so dad lawyer, my mom became a divorce lawyer, and then brother, sister lawyers, all very close. We all speak often. They're still up in New York. And here I am, the client, but we make a joke in my family. Mom, dad, brother, sister, cousin, brother-in-law, a couple others are lawyers. And I was the third to make partner at a law firm.
I had no idea you had all these lawyers around you. You were the smart one who didn't go and become a lawyer, and you became saturated within the legal industry. So I know what you do, but I don't really know what you do. So before we maybe we'll figure it out. Before we get to what you do and who you help and what you're all about, how did you get here? Right, you were surrounded by lawyers. Okay. Come to the woodwork. But take us through. I know you were on the Office show. Appeared there. What's been the journey to get you here today?
So great. So look, I sort of knew pretty early on that I had a mouth on me. Back then, we didn't diagnose every kid with ADD, so I didn't know that I had ADD. I was just a class clown, the wise guy, and always, I think, understood, my brother, brilliant, super book smart, same with my sister. And I just didn't understand, but I didn't have the patience in school to sit there. I think now as I get older that I do realize I was intelligent, but I couldn't sit through the school. And so he was always the class clown, the funny guy, et cetera. But I was learning in my own way. And had maybe it been diagnosed back then, it would have taken a different path. I'm glad it didn't. So, I knew what I was really good at, which was talking and networking and connecting with people and making friends. I remember in high school, everybody had these deep friendships and I did not, because as you know, in high school, there's the jocks and the nerds and the geeks and all these different groups. And I was never in a group because I wanted to be friends with everybody. And it's unfortunate, and I understood this as I got older and started to understand myself, is that when you're friends with everybody, you don't, maybe not friends with anybody, because most people have these little tight groups. And when those tight groups get together, they get together with the tight group. But I was always on the outside of the group because I wanted to be friends with the geeks and the theater cranes and the jocks and the druggies and I wanted to be friends with everybody. So it's sort of, did I understand it then? No. Went to college. Again, not really into studying, and being that book smart. I almost dropped out of school to go to theater, to go to Lee Strasberg. But then I understood and I realized, being realist, that I didn't have the dedication to, sleep in my car, be a bartender, waitress, drive a cab, blah, blah, blah. So you know what? I want to be a businessman. I want to be an entrepreneur. And I always knew where I wanted to be step 10. I had no idea how to get there. And so kind of just got the general degree in college, studied what I wanted to study, came out of school and said, all right, let me go figure this stuff out. And just sort of said, let me get in the game and figure it out. And didn't really have a plan, so to speak. Sort of this obligation, you go to college, you graduate, you get a degree, you get a job, you get 2.2 kids, you get a house and a fence. And maybe if you're lucky, a dog. And I just sort of, allowed myself to sort of be like clay and go and let myself be molded. And then it's sort of this opportunity where I am right now kind of found me. Had a job and I was always great in sales. And I met a guy playing softball that led to one business that led to a whole bunch of other opportunities. Like, there isn't a book that tells you how to do this stuff.
You just said a minute ago you weren't really sure where you're going, but you knew where you wanted to end up. You knew where you wanted to go. What do you mean?
Yeah. I always thought that what I wanted to do, if I could snap my fingers, so I wanted to have a business with 3 or 4 friends, and we would have this company and we'd be involved in lots of different things. Maybe we'd own a piece of a restaurant. We'd have a gym chain. We'd own a marketing company. We would be able to use, I knew I didn't want to do one thing because my brain doesn't operate that way. Yeah. So I always knew, love to have a group of friends and we have some money and we invest in different things and look at different projects and add our expertise to different things and how to grow. And I'm like, I don't know how to get there. Okay. The only way to get there is, take a step.
Right.
And then I'll take another one and then I'll figure it out after that. And I think too many people get kind of bogged down in analysis paralysis, like spending their whole life trying to figure out the map to step 10. And sometimes the answer is just get in the game. And I didn't plan any of this. Everything to where I am, virtually none of it was a written down plan. And they always tell you, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Yes and no. You also have to be willing to seize opportunity and try things and step out of zones and recognize opportunities that come around. And that's, I think, what I did. Some luck, and some just, caution the wind and trying stuff.
I love that. So most of our guests are lawyers, and that's why I like to not always have lawyers, because non-lawyers have a refreshing take. So it's funny because you grew up around lawyers. Throw a football, you get 20 lawyers in your family, right? You're almost, which is interesting, the anti-lawyer, and I say that because so different than lawyers, because you don't think about shit. You don't sit on stuff. You just do. You have energy, creative energy. Lawyers what's going to go wrong? Why shouldn't I do this? Why shouldn't I go down that path? Oh, that could not work out for me. You're like, shit, let's run. Let's have fun. Let's do a lot of shit. Let's have a lot of activity.
It's actually, you have said a couple of things that are really, really important, because I've been talking about this recently. Lawyers often say, well, I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't do that. What if it goes wrong? Well, what people need to start reframing is to say to themselves, what if it goes right?
Totally.
And that's the lesson in dealing with anxiety, is that we all think of what if everything turns out right?
Yeah.
What if? And, I've had this thing that I want to do at all these conferences, but nobody will put me on stage because I think they're afraid of what I'll say. I'll be like, all right, if you're a lawyer, raise your hand if you have a, well, if only. If only I had taken that case I would have settled it for $100 million to be rich. If I'd only taken that partnership, I would do this. And everyone we know, you and I, everybody has that.
Yeah.
If I had only done this, all these great things would have happened. And I'm like, well, let's reframe that. Chris, if you had taken that case 15 years ago that you rejected, maybe you would have settled it for $50 million. You would have made yourself $10, $15 million, and you would have been rich and retired and living a life. Yes. Or you would have taken that case, settled it, made $15 million, chartered a private plane to go party with your friends in Costa Rica, and the plane crashed. Or you would have made $15 million, chartered a plane, gone to Costa Rica, done some bad things that you shouldn't have done, and lost your wife and kids and family. So we only think about all the good outcomes, like if I had only. Well, there's also bad outcomes. All I know is that every decision I made in life, right or wrong, put me in this chair right now on a podcast with you, my friend. So stop living with those thoughts about all the things I could have and would have done. Everything put us to where we are today, and right or wrong, it's great.
I love that. So I'm a new student of sort of seeing the good. My wife, who's not a lawyer, is always like, see the good, man. Come on, like you've come a long way. You should be happy. And I am happy. I'm always like I'm very driven, like you, like a lot of people in our industry. So I'm always trying to see the good. I encourage the audience, see the good, see how far, right? You talk about the gap in the game, Dan Sullivan. Oh, I should look at this lawyer, Paul. He's so far ahead of me. No, it's like, dude, like, look how far you've come. I really want to underscore that for the audience. I'm curious. You have a lot of friends in this. You're a very well connected dude. And that's not by accident. You just wake up and have all these friends and connections in the legal industry. I'm fascinated by those like yourself who know a lot of people in the industry, because I'm in the industry and I love this industry. What are some things that the highest, most successful attorneys, highest performing attorneys do well that most don't do well? Like those high achievers that you hang with, like what do they do so well better than others that you find?
Well, there's a couple things. One, and this is more specific to the legal industry, or maybe it's not, meaning the high achieving lawyers. All the lawyers I know that are super successful are all in coaching mastermind programs. Full stop, period. There is not one that I know that's uber successful, doesn't have a coach and a mentor. There's no problem you have as a lawyer, or even being that someone else hasn't gone through before, shared experience, accountability. So that's one thing that I know for a fact, that you need to be in a coaching mastermind program. And I don't care what level of success you're at. I've seen lawyers do hundreds of millions a year in coaching programs, and guys that are just starting out. That is a universal. And I think the other thing you'll see universally with the people who are successful are people who are willing to share. Mike Morse is, one of my good friends, a Chad Dudley, some of the people that you see speak all the time, Craig Goldenfarb, John Fisher. Look at all the lawyers that are very, very successful that are out there giving away, Ken Hardison, that are talking, giving away their secrets, teaching people how to be like them. Mark Lanier at his training academy. Maybe there's some selfish things deep inside about ego, but at the end of the day, successful people want to share. They want to connect, and they believe in an abundance mentality, that there are more legal cases in your market than you can handle. Sure. So why not meet with other lawyers and work together? And don't look at the post today by my friend Jason Hennessy, whose parent company just acquired Seth Price's company. Look at the comments Jason said about Seth, how we were competitors, but we were friends, right? And we worked together in the industry. And I think that that's the key to success, is that a rising tide lifts all boats. We are a bigger industry. We are bigger together. And that is where you will find success. And the people that try and hide everything for themselves, very short-lived.
I'm so with you, man. I mean, sharing. I talk about this book a lot, The Go Giver, just sharing, being almost like ridiculously generous. And not, I mentioned to you before we started shooting, John Morgan, he sat down with me for a second time on this podcast last week. He said the degree to which you give and give without expecting anything, right? You can be kind of like, hey, Faust, I'm going to give you this, but I'm kind of hoping you do something for me. The more that I'm like, Faust, I want to help you without seeking anything from you in return, that's how you gain. And you shouldn't do it to gain, but there's a relationship there. If I'm like a giver, you're either a giver or you're a taker, man. Right? If you're right. You can't straddle the fence there.
I say this all the time. I don't believe in what goes around comes around. I believe in what goes around has to go somewhere. Yeah. It doesn't have to be a direct to me.
Right.
But I know that if I help you grow your law firm, doesn't mean you have to buy services from me. It means you're going to go help more people. It means your law firm's going to grow, and maybe you're using some of the vendors that I consult for, and then their businesses will grow.
Right.
So I now find I've taken it upon myself. Nobody asked me to do it. Look, in this industry, I'm a dinosaur. I'm 56. I don't even know what AI stands for. So you will see me at conferences for the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I go booth to booth to booth to booth, talking to these young vendors. I see these kids right out of school, 21, 22, 25, 26, 27. And to as much as they'll listen to me, and at some points, I don't care if they'll listen to me, if they have to walk away. I'm like, let me give you some pointers from a guy with some gray hair. I've done this for 20 years. I've been at 400 conferences. I want to now give back. This industry gave me the greatest life. I've made the best friends. I put a roof over my head. I've educated my kids. So I go booth to booth to booth saying, hey guys, if you want some advice from an old dog, because I don't know if some of these kids, and I just met a young girl from a company called Foundation AI that actually asked me for advice. And I was like, wow, you're a unicorn. Met her at a bar at Ken Hardison's AI for PI conference, said hello, introduced myself. And she goes, okay, I have a question for you. What is this? What have you learned over 20 years and what good advice? And I'm like, wow. So I go around and I try and help these next generation. And I think lawyers should be thinking about that too. We care very much about the industry. We care very much about, forget all the jokes. I talked to my, these guys are ambulance chasers. I'm like, you don't realize once you're inside that if it wasn't for these guys, we'd all be dead.
Right.
Cars wouldn't be safe, products wouldn't be safe, church companies would be screwing us all. So I'm trying to give back to the next generation because it matters to me. It gave me this great life and I want them to succeed. And I'm not going to be around doing this, forever. I hope I can stay as healthy and strong as a guy like Harlan Schillinger, who's, the guy doesn't stop. I don't know if I could do it. So I want to give back because it gives me more joy. Truly does. And I think people recognize that. And that's why they want to help me.
Harlan's been on the show. But you have the energy. I'm going to be real with you, of like a 26-year-old guy. How do you stay in shape? How do you take care of yourself, your mind, daily habits? How do you take care of yourself?
Honestly, most of it is the power of spoken word. So as you and I talked about once before, and we'll get deep for a second. Everybody sees me at the conferences as the life of the party. Hey, where's the vet? Where's the party tonight? Look at Paul. Oh, the part, the fun's now here. Paul's here. Right. Paul's here. And I put on a face. You didn't see me when I went back to my hotel room and I maybe cried myself to sleep, or I had major anxiety of self-doubt. Am I an imposter? Am I real? Do these people really like me? Do they just, think I'm funny? But I couldn't put that face on because I'm supposed to be the sales guy. I'm supposed to be the fun guy. I'm supposed to be the happy guy. And, after 12 years of really bad, debilitating anxiety, I decided to seek another path and started reading, started joining groups, I had a coach. I started understanding the way my mind worked and why I was thinking all these thoughts. And ultimately, a lot of it didn't come down to do anything different except speaking different and thinking different.
Yeah.
Speaking, your tongue, as one of my coaches, Chad Wright, former Navy SEAL, said, your tongue is your rudder. Okay. What we speak, your brain doesn't understand sarcasm. And so if you speak negative thoughts, your brain's going to do it. And later on, I can tell you a true story about that, where I went from running 3 miles to a half marathon in 3 weeks. The only thing I changed, it's a true story. And the only thing I changed was how I was speaking to myself. Right. So I think that's what changed my life. And I remember it distinctly because you don't notice these changes in yourself. I went to an MTMP and someone who's very well known in our industry, Jenny Levine. I'll never forget it. She goes, Paul, I've been watching you for the past couple of days and something's different. It's like you're aging backwards. You seem happier. You seem healthier. And it all came down. It wasn't diet. It wasn't exercise. It was that I was I was telling myself a different story. Yeah. I was becoming more grateful. I was appreciating relationships and I was beating up the bully in my head because most of our problems are in our own head. It's how we talk to ourselves. It's the stories we tell ourselves. And when I learned how to change some of that, the light switch went off and I was like, oh my God, this world is awesome. I love everything about it. And it was just, it's simple. It's simple and it's hard at the same time. It's simple because it doesn't take millions of dollars or years and years of, train. It just takes the willingness to go, let me think a little differently.
How old were you when you started to pivot?
I'm about 56. So it's probably about 8 to 10 years ago,
okay.
Where I really said,
where
I really said, like, I can't do this anymore. I can't live this way. I can't have this anxiety and these panic attacks about why? Why am I? And, it's really interesting. I think it's really important when I started sharing this, because originally you're not supposed to share this. Like, we're supposed to be strong, funny and the top sales guy and the life of the party. We're not supposed to show weakness.
Right.
And so I suffered alone. And then all of a sudden, when I started talking about it openly with people, you know what everyone said? Me too.
Totally.
Me too. Some of the biggest names in the industry and people you see on stages and top lawyers said, me too, me too. And I said, you know what? If we feel this way, I'll bet you there's a large group of people that feel this way. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start talking about it because I think we have to, it's okay to not feel okay. It's okay to have self-doubt. It's okay to not be perfect. And you don't have to hide it. Let's talk about it because there's a lot of help we can give each other. We're saying, hey, let me tell you how I reframed it. Let me tell you what I'm thinking. And it's been a blessing. I have an amazing conversation with people in this industry. And, especially in the industry as a lawyer, you guys deal with some very serious stuff. People's lives have been seriously affected. You also deal with major competition.
Yep.
You're fighting a battle to pick up clients. You're also fighting a battle with tort reform. You're fighting a battle where, people don't want you to collect winnings. It's okay to say, hey, I'm having a tough time. You don't always have to walk in as the baller lawyer who's the greatest in the world. You might say, hey, having a little of this. Let's talk about it. So I think it's okay to not be okay. And I think a lot of us can help each other with techniques and tips and just sharing. And it becomes an unlifted burden when other people say, hey, me too. And I could say, guys, I'm feeling a little weak. I'm feeling a little this right now. And they go, great, let's talk about it, as opposed to having to run off and hide.
Hey everyone, it's Chris. If you ever have a personal injury case here in Massachusetts that you can't take on, or just want to refer out to a trusted firm, my team and I would love to work with you. Since 2004, I've only practiced personal injury law, and my team and I pride ourselves on handling referrals with transparency, good communication, and care for your client. And if you're not already getting it, head on over to practicetipoftheweek.com, practicetipoftheweek.com to join my free email list. It goes out to hundreds and hundreds of lawyers each and every week with actionable marketing and practicing tips. Thanks for listening. Look forward to collaborating with you.
I love this, man. I want to get into what you do as profession, but this is profound. I wrote a book on how screwed up I am. I know I gave you a copy. I have broken through, Paul, the more vulnerable. Like I'm really effed up and I got a lot of stuff. I'm literally naked in this book. I'm screwed up. I almost lost my marriage and everything. And you become vulnerable, and I am vulnerable. And that's strength, man. That's like super strength that most cats aren't able to do. And I encourage the audience, get vulnerable with your clients, with your team, with the judge. Like get real. Like I think our conversation right now is like, keep it real, man. Like real shit.
Keep it real. I made a hat for myself. You'll see me wearing in Miami. It says perfectly broken because I just thought I was broken. And I'm like, no, I am perfect. I get it. When people go, Paul, you're a shit show. Paul, you're a mess. I'm like, yep. Like I am, like in a perfect way. Like this is me. We're not all made the same. If you took 100 eggs and threw them up in the air and shattered, you still have all of the exact pieces of that beautiful egg. They all look the same. We drop 100 of them. They're all broken differently. It's the same parts in beautiful ways. I'm stronger in some areas. I'm weaker in some areas, but I am perfectly broken. And trying to get better all the time. And there's a lot of techniques, things people can do to find that in themselves. And I did, and I'm doing it literally every day, cutting out the negative, watching how I speak to myself, practicing gratitude, so many things. But I give people this, again, I didn't create any of this. It's all learned from coaches and reading. Yep. The easiest thing, people are like, what do I do first? I go, all right, here's the simple one. Every night before you go to bed, last thing you do before you close your eyes is say out loud 3 things from today you are grateful for. So tonight, when I go to bed, I will say, I'm really grateful that I was on Chris Earley's podcast. We got to chop it up, and my friend, and I got to share. And I will say 3 of those things. I'm telling you, within 30 days, you will have rewired your brain to be more grateful. You will see the world more grateful because you're practicing gratefulness. What does that cost you? $0. Commit to it. It sounds weird at first. Don't think it. Say it out loud. The power of spoken word. And these are little things that I've started to adopt all these different things in my life. And like, again, not perfect. I have bad days. I have tough times.
Yes.
And then I go back and go, all right, slow down. Let's figure it out. I used to run from anxiety, and then I realized that you can't run away from it. So then what I decided to do is I decided to turn and face it. When I turn around, I'm like, wait a minute. You're what I've been running from?
Yes.
Like, you're not that scary. But I was running and not looking back and terrified of this thing. And I turn around, I'm like, what? I can handle you.
I love that. So I can attest to what you're saying, Paul. I gratitude journal every day. I write affirmations because I need to work on this shit. I'll be honest. I write things like I'm abundant. I'm aligned. I see opportunity. I am resilient. It sounds cheesy, but I need to do this work. Maybe some guys and gals in this call have it figured out. I don't. Right? You and I, we got to put in the work, or else those little demons pop up, right? Like those little things, negative thoughts, and like imposter, right? That's okay to have those thoughts, but to remain centered as much as you can. So before I forget, I definitely want to talk about RingBoost. I can attest that I purchased a phone number from you. It's a very easy thing. We didn't talk about this before, but this was a couple of years ago. I think at the Pilma conference, I picked up a number from you. I couldn't afford a one-digit repeater like my big dog friends in Boston bought. But I got a nice number, and it was convenient. It's splashed on billboards now, right? I really want to go back to this up, but I think it's important that we talk about this because it helped my business grow to have a vanity number, right? There's an element of elevation in your brand with the vanity number. Could you talk about things that lawyers should look for with these things and what they should avoid?
Yeah, I'll make this quick because I don't want this to be about my business, but I have a company called RingBoost, RingBoost.com, and yes, we provide phone numbers, toll free, local, etc. Easy numbers, value numbers. It's really not about phone numbers. Phone numbers is sort of the hammer. The point is more human connection through voice. And so started the company with my partner, Greg Hammerschlag. We're the leading company in the space. We provide these phone numbers to help drive more voice interaction, which I think is irreplaceable, a human-to-human connection. And then, the story of the industry is most of my clients like yourself. You buy a number from me once, maybe I help you deploy it, I give you some tips, techniques, etc. And then we're just friends forever.
Yes.
And so over the past 5-6 years, I've started, because I kind of know everybody, I played the long game. I try and be out everywhere. I have these other vendors like we've talked about, Claim Angel, Ziplines, Concussion Media, other vendors. I help out Mike with Fireproof, things like that have come to me and say, hey, can you help me grow? Because I have these great relationships with lawyers that literally call me for everything. They want my advice. And now I can represent other vendors, the best of breed. So I've never found, or not never, but after about 5-6 years, I realized my job wasn't to sell a lawyer a phone number. My job is to help you guys grow and be better at what you do. Sometimes that's my services. Sometimes it's others. Mm-hmm. I have lawyers call me and say, what conference should I go to? So I realized that I wanted to become a resource and I want to be your partner. I have 3 lawyers right now that are running a commercial that it was my idea. And maybe an agency would have charged them for the idea. I'm like, why? Like, this is a cool idea. Why don't you guys run it? And 3 of them made it. And if they run it and their firms grow, they'll give more pre-settlement deals to Claim Angel, or they'll have more lien resolution from Ziplines. So, I am now viewed, and I tell other young vendors, don't let someone view you as that person sells AI software for demand letters.
Right.
You want to be known as a resource in the industry, a value-added partner. Most lawyers don't look at me as a vendor. They look at me as a partner. Yeah. And that means that, and I'm always looking for the newest, greatest, what's next, whether it be AI software for intake with Nito and my friend David Ellis. How could I help lawyers? Because you have to be in your office, running cases, marketing. I can be out in the world and say, all right, Chris, I got you. Let me go, hey, Chris, did you hear that a lot of guys are going after this? Oh, that's cool. Thanks, Paul. And that's the abundance mentality. Sure. But now, and look, you could put it in your notes at ringboost.com, how to find me. But let's get back to the important stuff, which is changing lives and making people think differently and act differently. Because that's one thing I think conferences are missing, and you and I have talked about it. Great speakers at conferences on AI, marketing, pre-lit, funding, but we're not talking about the human being. How do I make you a better person? If I make you a better person, I make you a better partner, a better father, a better husband, wife, spouse, community member. Then watch your firms explode. When you work on you, not just the elements of a law firm.
So for lawyers that aren't so maybe as good of a network as you are, okay, could you just give some tips? I'll be honest with you. When I go to a conference, I'm like Mr. Social. At home, I'm like a hermit. I'm antisocial. I don't want to see anybody. I just want to having my family, and that's it. At a conference, I'm like, hey, what's going on? Hey, schmoozing. But I'm still in bed by 8 o'clock, so I'm tired. But I've gotten better and more comfortable in the spaces, getting speaking, gigs, all that stuff. What are some table stakes, easy networking things any lawyer could do, right? Because when you get on an airplane, you go to a conference, you better get some value out of it. If you're going to leave your family for a few days and spend a few grand, what can lawyers do better at with networking that you're always seeing they're maybe not so great at sometimes?
I'll give you a couple things. Number one is, look, start small. You don't have, if it's not in your comfort zone, you don't have to go out and be the life of the party. You know, you're going to sit at a table, you're going to sit in a row, look around, see you sitting down, just talk to the one or two people next to you. You're going to realize that most of the scare you have with networking is in your own damn head.
Yep.
Like, what if they don't think I'm smart? What if they don't? No one's thinking that. Like, they're thinking the same thing you are. What if I'm? Stop. And you realize that it's not so scary. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, that was cool. I just met a really cool guy. Oh, by the way, he's got a case in my market that he wants to refer me. Oh, crap. So most of the fear you have is in your own damn head. Get at it. And look, if you can't get out of it, then find a partner, find a COO, somebody in your law firm who's going to go do it for you. And just don't even waste your darn time. If you're going to sit there, if you're going to show up at a conference and sit like a hermit and not want to talk to everybody, then find a partner, someone else who's good. And you could just be the office dog that goes to trials and does the grunt work. But most of it is your own fear. Once you'll realize that, oh my God, that was really cool. I met an awesome guy and I learned a lot. And I told him my problem. He solved it in 30 seconds. This problem I've had for a year, but I was too afraid to ask somebody. It's all in your own damn head. You realize it's not that scary. Most people want to help. And the other thing I tell a lot of lawyers, and this is important, you look at a conference. There are 3 components to every conference. I've heard lawyers go, hey, you're going to the conference? I looked at the speakers and I've seen them speak before. I said, okay, that's one component. You have 3 components. You have the speakers. You have the attendees, because you don't know if that $1 million relationship referral partner is going to be sitting next to you. And then you have the vendors. And they're not vendors, they're partners. Many of the people who are vendors in the industry or partners in the industry know a heck of a lot about running a law firm, know a heck a lot about mistakes that other people made they can guide you through. So don't look at them as salespeople. Look at them as partners. Are there ones that are overly selly? Yes. Move through those. But there are people in there, like some of the names we talked about in the past, that know and say, I got you, Chris. Right. I've seen clients do this. We can help you through it. So there's 3 components. And then the 4th, and probably the most important, is you.
Yeah.
Don't walk in with arrogance. Don't walk in that you're the smartest guy in the room. Like you walk in ready to learn, ready to network, ready to give, and you will be amazed at what you get out of it.
And if you're already at that level where you're comfortable at these events, you're networking, then how can you get on stage? Ask for opportunities. I'm always asking for opportunities, right? You have to, kind of always be leveling up, right? And getting just.
What was the word you just said?
There
was a 3-letter word you kept saying. Ask.
Yeah.
Ask for opportunities.
Again and again.
And again and again. Conferences. When I started this industry, there was, 5 or 6 conferences. You had your NTL, your AJ, MTMP, maybe a couple. Now, NTL, ALM group with the Givens, they've expanded. They've got, a business of law and big truck. And then you have the trial lawyers. Then a bunch of lawyers like Mike Morrison, Ken Arterson, John Fitt, Tim McKee, Chad and Mickey at Itzler. They have theirs. And now all these vendors have started their own conferences. Smart Advocate has theirs, and this one has theirs, and Litify, Chris Stryer. So there's a lot of conferences.
Yeah.
And that means we need new speakers. Not everybody wants to go see the same speakers again and again. You might not think that you have something to add. All of a sudden, I see my good friend Lee Rudin talking about his Get Rude brand. Like,
love him.
Because he said, I got something I want to talk about. Keep asking. Maybe put together a little slide deck on what you have to offer that might be different. They are looking for people to talk about different things and share different experiences, but they may not know you want to.
Right.
And once you get over, they say, no, Chris, we will never have you. All that means is, it was not the right day to ask me. I'm not the right person. Keep asking, keep showing up. Don't show up at one conference and say, I want to speak. Say, hey, man, I've been coming here for 10 years. I've learned this. I think I have something to add. Talk to Jay Berkowitz. He's got a new conference. If you look at Jay's conference, TGR Live coming up in March. Speakers you've never seen before. There's some differences. So there's a lot of opportunity to put yourself out there. The only thing I will encourage you is if you see my name as a speaker, don't go to that conference because it means they've asked everybody else. Nobody else wants to speak.
That's a tough one. Yeah.
And they're throwing me on stage. So,
I want to share a story. If I could go to one conference, it would be NTL, National Trial Lawyers Miami. As we record this, that's in a few days, right? Ken Hardison gave me the stage 2 years ago exactly. Paul, I was shitting a brick. Okay, but I did it. When I'm not speaking at this NTL this time, if someone said they need to speak, hey, Earley, we come up on stage and grab a mic, I would have no trouble talking to that audience. You grow, you level up, which brings me to, you have mentioned Jesse Itzler a lot. I love Jesse Itzler. Okay. I've loved his books. I love his vibe. I love his wife. They're just freaking awesome.
Changed my
Are
life.
you, she's amazing. I mean, they're just the embodiment of entrepreneurial success, happiness. As far as I can see, they have
Yes.
pretty mapped out well. How do you involve with him? Are you coaching with him? Are you in a group with him? What does that look like?
So when I started to change my life all those years ago, I got lucky and I found Jesse, reconnected with Jesse, and joined his program at the time called Build Your Life Resume. And I was in the first cohort. We were a year long, and it absolutely changed my life, changed the way I think. It wasn't just Jesse, by the way. It was Jesse. It was the coaching principles. It was also the people in the community.
Yeah.
Because you surround yourself with people who are all trying to be better, live better, do better. And then after that, I became a coach for Jesse in his program. He changed the program from Build Your Life Resume to the Big Ass Calendar Club.
Yeah.
Anybody has questions about it, please ask me. I just sent out calendars to friends. Him, Jesse, without a doubt, changed my life. The speakers he brought in, the other people in the group, like my friend Chad Sanchagrin, who's having his own conference in Georgia, who talks about changing the way we talk to ourselves. He wrote a great book, and it all came from that. I met Sarah. I've been at the house. Yes. And look, Jesse's amazing. If it's not Jesse, there's others out there. Changed my entire perspective, how I think, how I feel, how I act, how I live. I just saw Jesse recently. I flew up to New York to see him speak because that's how important he was for changing my life. Yes, I encourage it for everybody. Just like we said, lawyers in mastermind coaching programs, human beings in mastermind coaching programs. I think Jason Hennessy will talk to you about it, about the ones he's been in, the coaches he's had. So yes, it is. I owe a lot to Jesse, and I tell him all the time, actually. And I've asked him. He's come and spoken at some legal conferences. I got him to poke into the CRISP conference and some others. I think he's just got a different energy.
No, totally. I'm with you, man. 100%. 100%. I love it. So to the guy or gal listening to this, mostly it's a PI audience. We're scaling up norms. May have a family, kids. It's hard to go to these conferences. Okay. As you said, there's 8,700 conferences a year.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to ask you, to box it in. If you can only go to get thrown into the bus limit. You can only go to a few. I know you got a lot of friends, and they all have good stuff, but you can only go to a couple, 3 a year, a few, right? What?
All right.
What do you think?
This is tough. This is tough because I have so many people I love. I'm going to tell you, the must go to is NTL. Why? Not only is it broad ranging, and lots of topics from practice management, and Ken does some stuff on market, his own Pilma stuff. Great speak. It's the kickoff of the year. Yeah. Like you've sort of been in hibernation, through end of November, December, holidays, New Year's, and we're kind of stuck in this, a little fat from the holidays, a little bit lazier because people are taking time off. Not only is it an amazing conference with amazing agenda, a lot of fun, it gets momentum going. It knocks the damn rust off. People are freaking excited to rip off, the winter clothes and get to Miami. and NTL is the kickoff.
Yeah.
If you're, and it's like getting there just gets you like, damn, there's so much cool going on. I am ready to kick the shit out of 2026. So you don't want to miss the starting gun.
Right.
And I think that is, the ultimate starting gun. And then, then I'm trying to be diplomatic. I would get yourself to a mastermind coaching focused one, like the one run by Mike Morse. He opened up with Fireproof. We're open up to non-members. Mickey Love and Chad Dudley's Accelerator, a Pilma,
Absolutely.
When you're at NTL, you will see all the ones that the Gibbons from LAM put on, because there's a lot of them. Business of Law, Big Truck, Linear Trial Academy, Bob Simon's, Laudy Graw, love that conference because it's as much social networking as it is content. It's really both. And I think that people they don't understand the value of the social connection of just letting loose and having fun, but around people to share. I've seen literally tens of millions of dollars of deals and relationships done around a fire pit. Not with the biggest speaker in the world, not with this, sitting around a fire pit going, wow, you know what? We should do this. So, obviously if you're in the mass tort world, you don't want to miss an MTMP. So it's really hard to say, boom, this is what you should go to. Yeah. I think NTL is the kickoff.
Yeah.
From there, depending on where you want to go with your firm, And you're more than welcome to ask me, hey, what do you think else I should go to? Look, if you told me, hey, I focus on motorcycle cases and that's my big brand, then the motorcycle conference that, the guys at Law Tigers and LAM put on was great. So I think some of it, by the way, and this is really, really important. I want to get to this because I forgot to mention it. Too many lawyers think, what conference do I go to? Well, stop thinking about you. Chris Earley goes to a conference, drinks to a fire hose, and then has to go back to his staff and say, I learned all this stuff. Do this. We got to do this to the grace. They didn't have the same excitement you did because you heard it direct. They didn't have the same buy-in. So what is the best conference to go to? It depends. Is it for you, the partner? Is it for your ops COO? Is it for your director of marketing or your director of intake? Stop being selfish, lawyers.
Yeah.
Each conference brings someone from your team, more than one person from your team, and let them learn. You'll see the buy-ins a lot easier when they got excited about that speaker or when they talked to that vendor and understood how, oh, this isn't replacing my job. This is going to help me do my job better. Because you got 4,000 pages of notes. You're going to go to your intake director, your CMO, or your CEO and say, we're changing everything. Why? Because I made this really good. I didn't get that. It's a game of telephone. So there are conferences, take Lanier Trial Academy. I've seen guys like you and Mike Morse and Glenn, all these major firms, they fly in, but who do they bring? They bring their trial guys because it's not for the visionary. It's for the trial guys to learn trial skills. So what's the best conference? Depends on who you're sending and for what reason. And we can get more into it personally and then we could reach out.
That's great. But I think to do it intentionally, it's like, I'm not just going to NTL on next week. I got like a list of people. I just texted Mike Morris before a phone call. Hey, want to grab coffee? Texted Bill Biggs. Are you going to be at the NTL? Just like hooking stuff up. Cause I'm not leaving my family for 3 days to just get nothing done. I want to come back better and grow and share and give value.
Yeah. And that's another very, very important lesson. It's something you just said. If you go trying to learn everything, you'll learn nothing. As a lawyer, say to yourself, okay, right now, my biggest issue I have is intake. I know I'm losing cases. So make sure you don't miss the intake stuff. Make sure you talk to the intake companies, the vendors that are there. Talk to some lawyers about how they fix their intake. If you go saying, I'm going to grow my whole law firm, you're going to wind up getting too much and implementing nothing.
Totally.
So go intentionally. Now, there might be someone, I might drag you in a room and you came for intake, but I go, Chris, come listen to this on something else cool. But have some intention. LAM, the group that puts on the conferences, and MTP, they all do this. Ken does it. Mike, list the vendors. Map out, hey, you know what? I definitely want to get a chance to see these. Because when you get there, it gets a little crazy. There's parties and there's dinners and there's speakers and there's events. People drag you. Say, I need to get this accomplished. Totally. Everything else is a bonus. And then after that, the next conference, say, okay, my intake is now humming. Now I can go look at better SEO, better phone numbers, better marketing, better billboards because my intake. But listen, I'm a professional sales guy, and so are a lot of the people in the industry. And some of you lawyers are not. They don't teach you this in law school. And I've watched lawyers go through the vendor hall and get sold by 8 different people. And I'm like, hey, dude, you know that those 3 people do kind of the same thing. That guy has to talk to that guy. Did you know that? And if, this is a very a strong quote that I got from my martial arts instructor, Mike Lee Kinerick. A tree with strong roots does not fear the storm. Think about that. If you build strong foundation in your firm, you will not. We have a perfect storm coming in our industry right now. It started unlimited capital, non-lawyers putting up billions of dollars to come into the space, AI replacing certain functions, technology in cars making less accidents, laws that make it harder to win money. But if you have strong roots in your firm, you can pivot and change and grow and move. If you're just running and chasing a shiny object, you don't have strong roots, you'll collapse under this weight. So be intentional, be smart, build a solid foundation, and we can adjust to the winds. But if you're just running around trying to be, I did this, I did the whoop, shiny, cat following a laser pointer. It's scary.
It's real, man. I love you. So you just took the words out of my mouth. I saw on LinkedIn today, Dudley DeBosier was acquired by, I don't know, I forget the name. This, an MSO managed something.
And a service organization.
Yes. So you took the words out of my mouth. I was going to ask you, where do you think things are headed? There's obviously great change. And that's why I get on this podcast with guests like you. We're talking about conferences. Like, how do you stay ahead? If you don't, you're going to get eviscerated like yesterday. So, you talk to a lot of people, these, at the fire pit or in the hallway, like, where do you see things going? Like, where's the wind blowing, you think, from what you see?
Here's the best part, not the best part, maybe it's the worst part, is that nobody cares what we all think. Like in the sense of like, well, I don't like social media. Well, Gary, tough crap. It's going to happen, right? Right now, unless major laws change, like there is unlimited capital coming into the space from non-lawyers. Whether we like it or not, you could argue, oh, well, I'm a professional, I passed the bar. Okay, great, Hal. Go sit in the corner and whine about it. Yeah. It's coming.
It's here.
It's here. So we have to adjust. You have some options. Build a great brand in your space that has value, that people know you and like you and will use you. And either you run that business or that's something that somebody will want to acquire, because you're not going to be able to compete against unlimited dollars. They'll out SEO you, they'll out billboard you, they'll out market you, but they can't out Chris Earley.
Right.
So we have to be aware of who we are in our personal brands. Another important thing is, if you say to yourself, well, I've got this firm, I can't stop it, I want to be involved in this, then you better get someone in there, whether it be a CFO, a fractional CFO, or someone like my friend Phil Videro, who can help you. Let's make sure your numbers are where they need to be. So when someone comes and looks at you, go, that's somebody I want to acquire, right? Because their numbers, their metrics, their ROI, their cost per case value, something Chad and Mick, you're very good at. It's happening more and more. Is it good for the space? Look, Paul Faust, a guy who sells phone numbers, and someone could say, oh, I don't know. And I think that's why this new concept of MSOs is important, because capital, from what I understand, and I am not an expert, capital understands ROI, return on capital. I believe that most of my friends who are lawyers don't look at a client as capital. They look at it as somebody who was injured, killed, a family member affected. And Chris Earley really, really, really feels for that client and wants to get the most for that client. And I think sometimes just pure outside capital says, hey, I put up $1 million. I need a 20% return. Let's settle that case, or let's take that deal, or that's good enough. They're disconnected from the person that sat in your office and talked about how their life was destroyed. So I think that's why we now have this separation of law firm with MSO. The MSO could manage, money, but lawyers have to manage the practice. Lawyers have to have ultimate say in when we settle, what we take to trial, et cetera, and it can't be a purely ROI decision. And I hope that the money that comes in could be good, because remember, we're not only competing for cases with other lawyers, we're also competing for the millions of people who don't hire a lawyer and they accept the insurance company settlement and they don't know. So having money come into the space could be a good thing. Money isn't bad.
Right.
If we use it to operate better and to get more people to use a lawyer the right way. I just think we have to be like, you ever hear that expression, slow down, you'll go faster?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, we don't always have that option because money started pouring in, but we see what happened in the mass tort space with unlimited capital. Kind of got a little sloppy and burned a lot of people. So let's make sure it's done right. And I think that's what's happening now, because it's hard to put the toothpaste back in the tube, right? Of letting non-lawyers own law firms and ABSs. It's hard to say, wait a minute, this wasn't good. Uh-oh. The toothpaste is out. It's hard to get it back in. So now let's just make sure we do it smart. And then again, I'm not a finance guy. I don't run a law firm. Just from my outside eyes, we want to make sure the money comes in the right way and it's used for the best good. And but we can't stop it.
I'm with you. You mentioned a couple minutes ago branding, right? Because so I'm wearing a Earley Law Group sweatshirt. You'll see me with a sweatshirt, shirt at the conference. Branding. Because I'm not trying to beat private equity coming into the space. I'm not going to win that battle, but I can do the Chris Earley thing and just like push the brand, or encourage the audience. You got to build your brand. You have to develop a brand, because that is just becoming increasingly valuable as things are in flux right now, right? But like what you said, slow down to speed up to the head. But branding,
own your community first. Own where you are first. You could try and go national with your brand. Great. There's billions of dollars going to beat you. But
Yeah.
when I walk around Detroit, it's a pretty big city with Mike Morse. Like,
Yeah.
people are waving at him. Like, I remember walking through Chicago with Glenn Lerner, and some guy on a bike stopped and goes, "Wait a minute, you're Glenn Lerner." When Chris Earley and his community goes out to dinner, "Oh, you're the guy with the Earley commercial," blah blah. Like, you got to own that first,
I
because
agree with you.
like technology, AI, all this stuff can democratize content, demand letters, blah blah. You know what? AI, I'm telling you what, you're never going to replace me. You are
Right.
never going to, Paul Faust, my voice, it will never be able to talk about the conversations Chris and I have had privately in our relationship. So,
Yeah.
I think AI would break if it tried to replicate me. But these technologies can make us more efficient. They can make us run our firms better, but they're not going to walk into the local restaurant in your community and know the owner there and know the community and know that, hey, if I get in trouble, I'm going to talk to Chris.
Yes, for sure.
So let's be cognizant of that.
I'm with you. And we talked about abundance earlier. That's legit. There's enough cases. I know you know Ben Glass. He said this years ago. It really resonated with me. He just wants to own 5 to 10 mile radius around his office. He doesn't need to do 3 states around his office. Just like, really, you just said community. Own the community. You were the guy. Paul, I go to homeless shelter and I've served pizza to homeless people. Like, because not to front and be a clown, but like, that's resonates with me and that's legit. So like, do stuff that resonates, like authentic, because the public can sniff that shit out if it's not authentic.
Yes, that's really important. You said that. If serving turkeys on Thanksgiving isn't you, don't do it because every other lawyer did it. Find what's important to you. Is it the volunteer fire service supporting?
Yes.
Is it the stuff that Mike does with a dog, giving a dog and cat adoption? Find things that matter to you and lean into them, and people know you for it. It's really important. And look, maybe we've turned a tide where the big dollars are going to take a bunch of cases that we might have. Okay,
For sure.
doesn't mean that there's not a lot of good cases out there from people that say, I know and trust that guy. I want to talk to him. There's opportunity, and we can't be afraid of it, because look, it might even be a good thing in some areas where the big dollars are going to educate more and more people as to why they should speak to a lawyer and not just take the settlement. So let's lean into the good, because we can't control it. We can't stop it for now. So let's make sure that we take our part of it. Again, abundance mentality, things change. Look, there were, every guy that used to sell, beepers isn't homeless on the street. He evolved to sell something else, or to morph into a different communication. Let's be aware of it. A tree with strong roots does not fear the storm.
I love that.
Build strong roots.
I love that. Paul, thank you for the energy, the wisdom. Really appreciate your perspective. It's very refreshing. How can people get in touch with you?
Any way they want. You can email me, paul@ringboost.com. You can go to my my Instagram account @CoolGuyPaulFaust. No, I'm not vain. That was my character's name in the office, @CoolGuyPaulFaust. You can go to my website, RingBoost.com. You can find me at a conference. You could carry your pigeon. I'll give you my address. You can land on the porch. If you want to find me. If you're a lawyer, and I've said this to a lot of people, write a contract that you will never buy from me. I will sign it. Call me Sunday at 4 a.m. and ask for my help. I love doing this. I'm happy to talk to anybody about anything. Brainstorm, have fun. I love doing it. And I truly, when you meet me, you'll see that this is what I love doing. So I'm reachable anywhere.
Yeah, you're not hard to find. Paul, thank you again, brother. I really appreciate it. I'm going to see you really soon. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
I am looking forward to a hug and seeing you in person.
Yes, sir. All right, that's it for this episode of the Earley Show. Be sure to check out more episodes of our show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the Answering Legal YouTube channel.